Oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man. I can't do this anymore. Gas and grocery prices have bled me completely dry. I thought I could compensate by investing in VR goth tomboy GF coin, but it tanked. It's so over. I gotta end it all. But what would Sharon and the kids think? I can't just... Hey, pal, quit crying, man. Hey, who said that? Up here, pal. Come on, man, with the gas prices, I'm out here being Dark Brandon, and they're trying to tell me that I can't, well, you know the thing, and it's just about eyes with showering with my jobbing corn popping. Hunter's gotta give him a charisma. I got hairy legs, and I want to show him the truth of the ship. Don't worry about it. Relax. He had trouble voting for me or he ain't black. You know? Gotta get money. Gotta get it. How's it hanging, guys? Sorry it's been a minute since my last video. I've been a bit monetarily strained, as it were. You see, normally, high roller like me finds that the key to financial success is outlined perfectly in the apocryphal book Wisdom of Jordan Belfort, Chapter 69, verse 420, which reads, The broke out here buying Hellcats and grills, but the wise and fiscally responsible acts broke to stay rich. This wisdom has carried me through years of fighting homeless men in the street for nickels and eating dishwasher lasagnas, all to preserve my personal fortune. But nowadays, even with these savvy money-saving habits, I'm still acting broke just to stay broke. I mean, seriously, it really is getting hard to even scrape by for a lot of us all-American white boys. Gas is almost back up to $4 a gallon across the U.S., and my grocery bill hasn't stopped going up since 2021. Thanks a lot, Brandon. So I got to thinking, how tough of a financial situation actually are we in compared to other times in U.S. history? And that led me to quite an alarming discovery.
Oh, stop with the malarkey, Based Whiteboy. Kids these days have it so easy. When I was a boy, there were years my father didn't even make 100 grand. Or barely made 100 grand. It was hard life.
But seriously, guys, when I did some digging, I found something incredibly alarming. Not only can the boomers go kick rocks for making us feel bad for struggling monetarily, but so can everyone else. And that's because I did the math. It is now financially harder to achieve some aspects of the American dream than even during the Great Depression. Let me explain. Money is the thing that I need. Okay, guys, to make my point, we're going to be comparing two individuals. The first is a stand-in for us. Pretty much just your average Joe from 2023.
I said what I said. I'd rather be famous and...
Shut up, man. We're going to be comparing him to this guy. The average American in 1932, around the height of the Great Depression. Type of guy to sell his body for a nickel to watch the Yankees game or boil his shoes for a quick snack between shifts at the factory.
Does anybody have any medicine for tuberculosis?
Guys, seriously, shut up. I'm talking. What we're going to do is compare how easy it would be for each of these two guys to acquire three different aspects of the American dream based on their incomes and how much each of these things cost in these guys' respective times. The three things we're going to compare between the two of them are the cost of a home, the cost of rent, if you're a rentoid, and the cost of a new car. I know it's not the most comprehensive list in the world. I know I could have added things like groceries or gas, but I feel like these three are the most important things to cover, and I'm just going to keep it to these three for the sake of time.
Lazy!
Yeah, got me there. Okay, so first things first, let's compare these guys' income. Obviously, it's going to be vastly different between the two of them due to things like inflation, but these numbers will be important in a second, so pay attention. Also, just a heads up, all the sources for the numbers that I'm going to be telling you over the course of this video are cited in the description, so make sure to check that out if you're interested. In 1932, the average yearly wage was $1,650 compared to today's average yearly wage of $59,000. Big difference, I know, but let's keep this moving.
Hey, pal, I don't usually ask for handouts, but
I said zip it, guys. I'm not going to ask you again. Now that we've got their incomes down, let's go over how much it would cost each of these guys to buy the previously mentioned items. Starting with Mr. 1932 over here, Mr. Chatterbox. With his income of $1,650, it would cost him in 1932 $6,500 to buy a house, $610 to buy a car, and $216 to rent an apartment for a year. Definitely not the easiest of circumstances.
yeah, it's almost like I live in the Great Depression or something.
Alright, Mr. Grace, guys, let's put a pause on the pity party there for just 1 second.
Right, yeah, what does a guy like me have to complain about anyways? You're absolutely right.
Now let's take a look at our friend from 2023.
Bussin'.
That's from 2022, pal, you don't say that. Anyway, for this tard on a salary of $59,000 a year, it's gonna run him $416,000 for a house, $48,000 for a car, and to rent an apartment for a year, it's gonna cost him $24,000. Yeah, not feeling so bussin' anymore, are we, pal? Now let's compare notes. Now, obviously, there's a huge disparity in the numbers between these two guys because of things like inflation. But we can actually get a general idea of how difficult things were for each individual by looking at these prices in relation to the income they were bringing in. Using this rule, we can see that in 1932, at the height of the Great Depression, a house would cost 4 times the average income, rent for a year would cost 13% of the average income, and a car would cost about 37% of the average income. Definitely not great. This is the Great Depression, after all.
You're telling me, pal.
Now let's compare that to Mr. 2023. In 2023, a house is going to cost 7 times the average income. To rent for a year is going to cost you 41% of the average income, and buying a new car is going to cost you 81% of the average income. What? How can this be possible? We're out here under this impression that we're living in the most advanced and prosperous time in world history, and yet by these metrics we're worse off than when we were in the literal Great Depression. How does that make any sense? Thanks a lot, Brandon. Now, obviously, there's a lot of factors at play here other than just Ukraine embezzling, China money funneling, border child trafficking, naked daughter showering, Joe Biden. Although, to be honest, he is the one mainly responsible here. But for instance, like with COVID-19 popping up in 2020, no matter who the president is, things are going to get pretty screwed up, monetarily speaking. But COVID is gone now, and all we do is continue to spiral anyways. So again, I reiterate, by these metrics, we are worse off right now than we were in the Great Depression. Really, the worst part about all of this is that it's a silent depression. Nobody really talks about it, but everyone struggles regardless. The gold-plated pile of dookie that is the U.S. economy can only keep Americans fooled for so long. Even the most politically disengaged people are feeling the effects of this, and they want something to be done. But what actually can be done? I'm going to be real with you guys, I'm not exactly an economist here. But what I do have is common sense. And common sense is telling me that none of this garbage was happening during Donald Trump's presidency. And there's not really anybody else running who's making these common sense arguments and could actually win. Looking at you, Ron DeSwamptus. Policies like bringing manufacturing back to the U.S., closing the border, middle-class tax relief plans, and doubling child tax credit are all critical policies for restoring economic prosperity in the U.S. Now, I'm going to go into detail on Donald Trump and why he is the only viable 2024 candidate in a future video. But suffice it to say that if the Donald was in office right now, we would not be having this silent depression on our hands. Yeah, don't think you're getting a pass, pal. Sorry I don't exactly have 5 easy ways to bring back the United States economy BuzzFeed type video on my hands. Like I said, I'm not exactly an economist, but when my gas is $4 a gallon, even I can tell that something is wrong, alright? I may make stick figure videos on the internet, but I'm not completely brain dead. But hey, you can at least tell your boomer grandparents that, at least in some respects, we're worse off right now than anybody was in the Great Depression. Anyway, that's going to do it for me today, guys. I'm Based Whiteboy, and thank you guys for watching.